Breaking right now, a tornado warning has just been issued north of Louisville, Kentucky. This is a dangerous situation that's unfolding right now. We're seeing very strong rotation on Doppler radar, and this is very near the River Bluff and Prospect areas, which are on the northeast side of the metro area of Louisville. We're looking live right now where you can see the raindrops are filling in the camera. This is a pretty fast-moving storm as well that is tracking off towards the east. We want to get right to meteorologist Chris Bruin, who is on the radar tonight. We're seeing a debris signature, it looks like, on radar as well, which would be a radar-confirmed tornado. Folks need to get their safe place right now.
Yeah, and this is a more heavily densely populated area than other spots in southern Indiana are. So there's a lot more people in the risk of a tornado on the ground, the potential for more debris, and we certainly have some indications that that is the case. It's now been observed and being listed as a considerable threat tag. So this is almost as serious as it gets. It's a dangerous storm. And it's been observed now as it has pushed east of I-65, right along the Indiana-Kentucky state line, crossing into Prospect, which is a suburb just north and east of Louisville, nearing I-71 in the next 10 minutes. All right. So there it is, very well-defined area of rotation right there. Let's time this out first, and then we'll take a look at some of the other concerns that we have here with this storm. Prospect,
hey, Bruin, just want to let you know that we're just getting in from emergency managers that there is a tornado on the ground that has struck vehicles near International Drive and State Route 265. So we have emergency management, people reporting that the tornado is on the ground and at least one vehicle has been impacted.
That may be what we're looking at here. This is Charles Peak. I'm not sure if this, I would think this would be that storm.
That would be my guess.
That would be my guess. So this is Floyd County in Indiana, just north of the city of Louisville. And you can already see this has already been passed. The tornado has already been passed, but you can see what it's done to vehicles. And there's a couple of semis there, it looks like, that have toppled over because of those high winds. So very dangerous storm, obviously a considerable threat tag. We're already getting reports by law enforcement that vehicles have been struck by strong winds as this tornado has now made it on the ground and crossing out of Indiana into Kentucky. And we have a debris signature here. When you look at the correlation coefficient, this is a dropout, and that's right over Prospect, Kentucky. So just north and east of downtown Louisville. You can see there is the outer loop in Louisville, just north of 265 is the area that we're concerned about. This is likely crossing over U.S. Highway 42 and moving through Prospect. You got a lot of neighborhoods. There are some schools in the path of this, and this is continuing to push off, likely due east or maybe just a smidge north of east at about 60 miles per hour. So it's moving very quickly. If you live east of here, look how long this warning goes. It extends for several miles here off towards the east. You need to take shelter immediately. A tornado on the ground. It's been confirmed by law enforcement, and this is in a pretty heavily, densely populated area to the northeast of the city of Louisville. So if you live in Prospect, River Bluff, it is on top of you right now. So you need to take shelter. Hopefully you're already in your safe place. Avoid travel up 71 out of Louisville. I would hold off. If you're in the city, just stay put. Wait for this storm to pass because it is a dangerous storm. And this could be one of those situations where it travels quite some distance. We don't see any signs of this weakening at all. And it has a very healthy flow right there. You see that inflow notch on the radar. So an observed tornado on the ground in the northeast suburbs of Louisville, crossing out of Indiana, now into Kentucky. It includes Henry, Oldham, and Shelby counties there. Buckner, LaGrange, you're next. You need to take shelter immediately. In some of these cases, you may have rain first, then the tornado comes through, so you may not have a lot of visual warning. So you need to take these warnings very seriously. The tornado is in the vicinity of Prospect, Kentucky right now, moving towards Route 329, Crestwoody on the southern flank of this. If this continues, sometimes these can jog too. They can have little wiggles and not just hold to a due, east path. So if you live anywhere in that warning, you need to take shelter immediately. The tornado likely right about there. You can see where it went through Prospect.
Yeah, it looks like it went a little bit north, maybe just a little bit of a trip up north, which makes it moving right towards Buckner. So a couple of other towns, some of the smaller towns and communities nearby would include Park Lake, Buckner as well as LaGrange. Crestwood, it does look like the tornado or the rotating part of the storm would be to your north. But Crestwood, we're seeing, some surging of winds that are just off towards your west. So this storm remains very dangerous. We've had a lot of winds, Chris, with storms today as well that have been just as damaging sometimes as tornadoes. So all of you under the warning right now need to be taking this warning very seriously, getting to that lower level of your home, a basement if you got one, and getting shelter. It also looks like there's probably a little bit of hail in this just north of LaGrange. There's a hill core there, and I'm seeing an uptick in some of the lightning with this storm, which is sometimes an indication that it's getting stronger. Yes.
Yeah, we're seeing that, and we saw hail with the storm north of here too, where we did have an observed tornado in southern Indiana. We want to get to a couple of the other warnings. Let's first track how many lightning strikes. Notice how they've really blossomed in the last 15 minutes or so. And this is mainly north of Louisville. Like Jackie said, even outside of the actual tornado, there's strong winds that are just now getting into I-71. So we've got a very dangerous situation here on the northeast side of Louisville, approaching Interstate 71 now, just north of 265, the outer loop there around the northeast side of the city. And where you're looking at the possibility, we have several vehicles that have been toppled over, at least a couple semis from what we're looking at. That was back in Indiana, just to the east of I-65. So somewhere in this area is likely.
State Road 265, so this is Charles Peak, and that's
so
the
this
same.
Is,
yep.
Is this I-265?
It's not an interstate, it's a state road.
Okay.
So State Road 265, that's where Charles is. That's where the report from the public that a tornado went through. And obviously we know that at least winds definitely went through here that caused a tractor trailer to flip over. So we don't know if that was an empty trailer, if it was lighter weight, or if there was a big cargo within that or not. But of course, high profile vehicles are particularly susceptible to getting turned over in strong wind events.
And it's hitting at a particularly busier time of day where there's more folks on the road, too. That's the problem. It does look like traffic has slowed down now on the northern side of Louisville because of the rough weather we've been dealing with. And you can see, vehicles that have been pulled over. They're trying to get people out. Hopefully everyone's safe and accounted for. It's an ongoing situation. Obviously, there's numerous lightning strikes in the vicinity, very heavy rainfall currently here in Louisville and on the north side, and we've got a dangerous tornado that still very likely is on the ground as it pushes now towards I-71. This is Henry, Oldham, and Shelby counties. It went through Prospect. It looks like this would be the area. If we could put velocity on, let's see what we've got. If it's still
Charles is just zooming in on that other vehicle. So there we have another tractor trailer that's been flipped over there that's underneath the underpass or overpass, whatever you want to call it. You can also see how some of these barrels have been knocked over too. One of the things I just want to mention is a lot of people try and take cover underneath an overpass, and that's actually a really dangerous place to be for a couple of reasons. People will back up their vehicles underneath it to try and protect themselves, say from hail or from any wind damage, and then that backs up the rest of the road. Other traffic can't get through. Other people are out there exposed and can't keep accelerating through the area. But also the winds can accelerate because they're forced through that smaller opening, and so you can actually get worse winds
through
the underpass. Exactly. So don't try and take shelter under an overpass.
And sometimes it's tempting because you're trying to think, okay, what can I do? I'm on the road, there's a tornado, or they see a tornado, or they see the winds. They see a lot of cars stop too. It's almost like, you see other people doing it and you think, okay, that would be the safest situation for me to do, but it is a dangerous situation like Jackie mentioned. Let's hit the radar again because we've got a very dangerous tornado on the ground on the northeast side of Louisville. There's downtown Louisville right now getting hit with some pretty substantial rain, but the tornado is to the north and east of the city itself on the northeast side of the metro area. Now pushing towards Buckner, LaGrange, you're not far away, probably noticing some strong winds, and that's likely the case ahead of this tornado. And there's the dropout right there as it kind of crossed out of Indiana into Prospect and now pushing off towards the east. Here's I-71, so you still have a heavily traveled route right here to the north of Crestwood. This would be the area of most concern. So if you live between Crestwood and LaGrange, Kentucky, you need to take shelter. Hopefully you've been there, you're in your place. If you're not, please run to your basement, most interior room on the lowest floor of your home if you don't have a basement. And if you're in a mobile home or some manufactured structure, if you have time to get to some sort of safer space, do it, because your time is limited, and those are certainly not dangerous spots, or those are certainly dangerous spots to be. All right, so that's the situation there. Let's go up to Cincinnati now, because the metro area here in Cincinnati has now been under severe thunderstorm warning, and like Louisville, this is now being tagged with the tornado possible. This was the exact kind of setup that we had in Louisville, where it then spun up that tornado just north of the city and is now causing damage, unfortunately, here, at least with vehicles, and that's as far as we know, at least at this point, and likely, based on radar, is likely causing some issues there with property. So there's a look. We don't have any, notable signals here on the velocity, but it is just that kind of day where the atmosphere can just go like that, and things can quickly go from, severe thunderstorm warning to an ongoing tornado